Hi everyone. So we will start with the basic folder structure. Okay. So I have a assets folder in which we have the images that we need for the game. I have a index.html file that includes the two scripts. Okay. So Phaser is the Phaser framework file and game.js is the file where we are going to write the JavaScript code for our game. You can see it's an empty file and we will start building our game step by step. Okay, so firstly we need to set up our basic game structure by creating a config object. So let me give the type. Okay, so this time I'm just writing it as phaser.auto. You can also go with phaser.canvas or phaser.webgl. So auto automatically determines what rendering type is best for your browser, either through canvas or through webgl. Okay, and apart from it you can give information about the game. You can give information about width, height. Okay, so we can give that, or what we can do is we can actually give that information inside the scale object. Okay, so what we will do, we will give some width. Let's say width is 800. We will give some height. Let's say height is 600. And what we will try to do, we will try to fit the game in the screen. Okay, so you have to define a property called attribute called mode, and I have to give this value as phaser.scale.fit. So you can refer Phaser Scale Manager for more detailed the options on scale. There are different type of modes. You can even convert your game into a full screen mode or something like that, but as of now we are just going ahead with this thing. Okay, so then you have to give some background color. If you want, you can give it as whatever color you want to give. So if I just hover over this, okay, and lastly, one thing that is very important is the scene. Okay, so in scene you have methods like preload. We will create a preload method. We will create a method called create, and we will create a method called update. So that defines the scene object inside our config object. Okay, so once we have this config ready, we can create a variable called game, and it's an object of the game class. And here we can define our functions preload, then we can define the function create, and then we can define the function update. Okay, so let's try to see if we have something on the screen. So now you can see we have the area where we will create our game. Okay, so this is background color. You can just make it any color. Okay, so it is red basically. So value for red, green and blue. So this is a hexadecimal code for red, you can say. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's start by loading some of the images. So go to the assets folder, and what we will do, we will try to load this image. Okay, so it's called as top ground. So let's go to game.js, and I can say this dot load dot image, and let me call this as ground, and the name of the image is assets slash top ground dot png. Okay, and let's try to create this image on the game. Okay, so let's say width is needed. We need to access the width, so it's game.config.width, and we need the height, game.config.height. So you will see why we need these variables. So I need to create this image at the bottom of the game. Okay, so what I will do is I will say, okay, yeah, so I will find out the coordinates of the part where I want to place this image. Okay, so what we will do is, let me show you. Let me say let ground equals to this dot add dot sprite. So it will be 0, height will be h minus 128, and the image that I'm going to render is having the key called ground. So let's see. Now you can see this is where the image is being created. So this is not the right place. So I will tell you why this happens and how we can fix this. Okay, so what happens is when you try to okay, let's say this is your screen, and when you say okay, I want to create an image, I want to place an image at, let's say, this particular coordinate x comma y. So by default each image has a center point. Okay, so let's say if this is a tile like this, so it has a center point somewhat here. So when you say okay, I want to place an image at 0 0, so what happens is the center point comes at 0 0. Okay, so what you need to do instead is you need to take the center point to the corner, and then you need to create an image in the entire region. Okay, so what we need is we need to repeat this. So we are actually going to do two things. Firstly, we are going to change the center point of this image to the corner so that we can align it accordingly, and because this has a height of 128, and when I say okay, I want to put it from a distance 128 from the bottom, so this distance actually becomes 128. Okay, so let me show you here. Okay, so what I need to change here is the point from which these distances are being calculated. So for that, what we can do is we can say ground dot set origin as 0 0. So what it will do, it will change the center point of your image. So now you can see this image is of size 128 cross 128. Okay, so if this is your game screen, you want to place it like this. Okay, 128 pixels from the bottom and 0 pixels from the left, and these distances are computed with respect to this point. So this point is the origin of the ground, so which was earlier in the middle of the ground, so we have shifted it to the corner. So now you can see the positioning will get changed. Okay, so let me just change the background color. Let me make it as white only so that it looks little better. So you can see, okay, or let me just make it something like this. Okay, so now you can see it looks a little better. Okay, so what I want to do next is I want to extend this ground image till this particular point. Okay, I want to do something like this. I want to make copies of this ground image so that it extends the entire area. So what we will do, I will say okay, fill this entire area starting from 0 0 till this point, let's say w comma h. So h will be 128 and width will be the width of the game. So we will fill this area with this image. So for that we have a function in Phaser that is called as tile sprite. So let's go here. So instead of adding a sprite, I will say I want to add a tile sprite. Okay, so that you can arrange these images in the form of tiles. And two more parameters that you need to give here is the entire width of the game and the height of the box in which you want to fill. So the height of the box will be 128. So this I think looks fine. Okay, we should have a comma here, and you can see. So this is how you are able to build a basic platform type of an image. Okay, using a single sprite we are able to repeat it multiple times. Okay, so I hope this part is clear. So this is how you add tile sprites. Okay, let's do one more thing. Let's try to create a background. So for background, if you see, we have this image that is just 4 pixels wide. Okay, it's not it's just a gradient, it's just 4 pixels. So you want to extend this image throughout your entire background region. Okay, so one way is you can use the tile sprite way, you can extend it. Okay, and there is another way that I'm going to show you. So what we will do, we will first load this image. Okay, so let's copy this and let's load this image, and let me just call this image as the image for the sky, and it's in assets slash background.png. Okay, so let's see how to create this background now. So what I will do, I will first create this image at 0 0. So let me say let background equals this dot add dot sprite, and let me add at 0 0. The name of the sprite is sky, and I will do the same thing. I will change the middle point or the anchor point about which all the distances are being calculated. I will say okay, set that point as 0 0 for the background image, and let me see here. So you can see a very thin blue strip that is being displayed here. So what we will do, we will expand this strip. Okay, so what we can do is we can change the display width. Okay, so display width is going to be same as W. Okay, I think yeah, you can see. So this is how we have changed the display width and we have made it as W. So you can see we are kind of stretching this image. Okay, and this is how it looks like, but there is one problem. Now this image is getting overlapped on the ground, so ground should come to the front. So either you can change the order in which the images are drawn, or you can just change the depth property. You can say background dot depth equals -1. So by default all sprites have a depth of 0. So if background has a depth of -1, it will appear behind the platform. Okay, so now we have the basic sky and the basic platform ready. Okay, so if you want, you can also change the height of the sky to make it as entire screen. So you can say display height equals to h. So that is fine, you will not feel any difference here. Okay, so this is how we are able to set up a basic background and the platform, and in the next step we will add some more things.